honor to the God whose image I have made. Praise to the Most High. Yeshua is the way. Bless His word in every street. From every speaker hear His name. Let it burn upon their ears. How many demons can you slay? We all feel as small as David with our backs against the wall. And before us the behemoth stand between us and the flock. Only Jesus cast out demons while we need Him as our rock. Father, pass your judgment on these heathens. Feed them to the mob. I'm declaring war on Khazarian overlords. Know the soul you can't infect with the magic your dad's taught. I'm calling on you, Father, to free our people from bondage and breaking up the spells that the demons have placed upon us. Jesus Christ, open up our eyes into the light so we may look within and see the kingdom there inside. Wake up, oh man of God, you've been locked up in the matrix. You're all zombies dead walking, but your autopsy's delayed. While pro-choice officers offer your offspring as offerings to the altar of all as they get off in coffins. High on rape, hate, and hemophilia make me nauseous. I said honor to the God whose image I am made. Praise to the Most High. Yeshua is the way. Bless His word in every street. From every speaker hear His name. Let it burn upon their ears. How many demons can you slay?
Oh, there I am. I want to thank everyone for coming down. Can you guys hear me okay out there? Alrighty. So, tonight's show is going to be about the crisis we're in right now. I've been watching a lot of different shows on how we got to where we got right now. Because America, I'm kind of sure you all know it, but we're really much more broke than you'd think. We're so broke, we can't even pay attention, America, right now. That's why all this stuff is happening. The system is crumbling. And the elites know it, and basically they don't know how to pull us out of it because they've been just printing money for many years, just pulling us out of this collapse. But now it's caught up to them. They're going to try to do this New World Order shit, and this is where we're at. But I'm going to break it down how we got here. You know, I'm not going to be like some of these fancy professors or anything like that, because I'm not. What I will do is I'll break this down in simple terms. Okay, so we have to understand a few things. All right, first thing, how you doing? Nah. First thing we have to understand is for like the last 70 years, they've basically been lying to us about our economy. All right, it's all smoke and mirrors. They've been inflating our economy constantly, and this is where we're at right now. Now, we need to change this, but it's kind of too late. We basically would have to start all over again. So where are we now? Okay, so we're in a government that's crumbling. Now, what this government has done, really the corporations who control the government, what they have done is they've basically taken away, how can I put this? A bargaining table, okay? We can't bargain anymore. You know, they kept convincing everybody that unions are no good, unions are no good, unions are no good. You know, you had a few corrupt unions, and all of a sudden every union was no good. Okay, so back in the old days, you know, half the country was unionized, so they had bargaining power. When they went to the table against these elites, like, say, Walmart, who doesn't have unions, they had bargaining power. They had, you know, to fight for, you know, wages that you can live on. Okay? And now it's only about 5% of the country is unionized. People can say whatever they want about unions, but they're really idiots, okay? If they believe that unions didn't help the regular middle-class working man, because they did. You gave a little bit of money and they got you more money that made up for that little bit of money to the union. You know, you did have a couple of corrupt unions here and there. But in general, it was for us, the people. See, don't think for a second that the elites ain't smart enough to get rid of the unions, because they are. Think about it. If they don't want unions, that means we should have unions. You follow me? Anything they don't want, we should want. Okay? This is how they gained control over the regular working man. In a way. Now, they took away our bargaining power. They tried pulling this. I'm going to look at notes because I made a lot of notes. You know, there's a few countries that, like in 2010, they rebelled against all this stuff. They were going to cut Greece's pay all the government employees by 20% one time. They were just going to cut their pay. Say, hey, you're a cop, now you're making 20% less tomorrow. They passed a law. So Greece had like 6 labor strikes. France had a giant protest, okay? They had about 2.5 million people the same day, the same hour protesting. This is going back, though, around 2010 when, remember when the stock market collapses and all that? Okay? Italy had 4 strikes. Okay? I think we should start picking up on what Europe's doing. I mean, we think, we fight and Europe don't fight and they're weak. No, we're the weak. Portugal, 2.5% of the population went out and protested, okay? If we took 2.5% of our population, that would be 7-8 million people. Did you ever see a strike out here? Could you imagine 7-8 million people protesting in America? They would have a heart attack. I remember in New York, the Million Man March, they were going to declare martial law in New York with 1 million. Could you imagine we had 7-8 million? I think that would make a statement. Why don't Americans organize? I don't know. We're not organized. I guess we're spread out, 50 states. This is a problem. Now, when Portugal did this, they basically got rid of the government. They dissolved it, okay? And 4 days later. Now, all the new politicians were scared because they told all these new politicians that they put in office, if you do what they do, we're never going to vote for you again. So the politicians understood that basically this is what's going to happen. Now, today with the machines, which we shouldn't have machines, we should have paper ballot voting, okay? With the machines, it seems that politicians don't care anymore because they know the fix is in. So this is probably our biggest problem. We got to get rid of all the machines throughout the United States. It has to be paper ballots. This way our vote does matter. Now, we have to understand what unemployment is because they've been lying to us. So basically, unemployment, to them, it's considered a person looking for a job and not able to find one. But there's really 3 categories, okay? You got category 1, people are looking for a job and they can't find employment. You got category 2, people are partially employed, part-time, but they want to get full-time employment, but they can't find any. Okay. And then the third one is people that just gave up. Okay. There's people that basically are looking for employment for a year. They can't find a job in their field or, you put your resumes in. I've done it. You go 20 different companies. I have friends that work for corporations. They said, Mike, I got a stack of 100 applications and I only need 2 positions. So this is what we're going against. But they don't factor all those numbers in. Right now in America, they could tell you anything they want on TV. Right now, unemployment is probably 20-25%, okay? They keep saying, I don't know where they're getting these statistics, okay? That there's more jobs, we're losing more jobs than we're getting more jobs. So I don't know where these statistics are coming from. They closed down half of the little businesses in America because of this pandemic. And most of it was restaurants. Now, we have to understand that the restaurant industry, it basically was like back in World War II when all those factories were up, they were basically employing like a big percentage of the population. Well, the restaurant industry was equal to that in the modern era, okay? So all these waiters and cooks and people that own these little restaurants, with 5, 6, 7, 8 employees, 10 employees, most of them are out of business now. And the government pacifies everybody, says, yeah, we're giving out loans. And you know where a lot of the big money went? To their friends, okay, that had other companies, somebody like, let's just say Home Depot. Do you think they needed to borrow money? Really? But the little restaurant owner that went out of business because he couldn't pay his rent, he didn't need that money? So this is what it is. There basically is no recovery for America. There's no recovery. I hate to be the person who's going to give you the bad news, but there's no recovery right now under this system. Something has to change. Okay, world employment is at a catastrophic event where there's just no jobs. There's a lot of reasons. Technology, for example. When I was younger, I had a job. This is before you could scan stuff at the cash register. Okay, we're talking in the 80s. We're not talking like I'm a dinosaur and I was born in 1910. So in the 80s, I had a job. We used to go in with a van, like 20, 25 people, and we would go down every aisle of the supermarket and count how many cans of beans, and we scan it in the machine. Like we would put 25 cans. We did this inventory like once a week, but we went to different stores. So there was 25 people employed. Okay, this was just one company doing a few supermarkets. Imagine this like globally or even in America. Now, with the barcode, they scan it. You don't need these people. So thousands of jobs are lost. So this is what technology does. Like you go to McDonald's, there's 7 kiosks with one guy standing there watching them in case you had a problem with the machine. So little by little, beside the fact that there aren't jobs, technology is taking our jobs. Okay, and they can't be replaced. You can't replace those jobs anymore. They say, well, the technology industry creates jobs. It creates a little. It doesn't create as many as it loses. You know, to make a chip, there's 10 guys in a lab or whatever, and they made this chip and they start printing them out, and they have a factory with maybe, I don't know, a couple of hundred people. But that's not going to make up for the thousands of people that lost their job because of that stupid kiosk at McDonald's, let's say. Now, another thing they do, they're geniuses. So when they do the inflation rates, you know, if housing is down, they won't pump it in there. But if housing goes up, they're going to put that into the inflation, so it brings it down. Now, did you ever wonder, right now, housing market is booming. How are we booming with the highest unemployment rate, where the whole world is upside down? All these mandates, things can't, you know, you can't open a restaurant and have 100% occupancy. I mean, all these different things. So how is the housing market going up? Well, this is how it's going up. People are losing their houses. And guess who's buying them? Gigantic corporations like these BlackRock. They're buying all these houses at top dollar. They don't care. Why? Because in the future, they're going to own everything. And the people, we're going to own nothing. And they say, we're going to be happy. You will own nothing and be happy. And this is another problem that they've been lying about, this housing market. You know, once housing goes down, you have to understand that a lot of companies' stocks go down. Let's, for example, Home Depot, right? Furniture stores. Okay, I worked for one, the Bob's Furniture, tyrants. Okay, but I'll get into that another day. They were tyrant employers. Okay, they said they were one of the best employees in the country. What a joke! They treated us like we were slaves. They didn't even want to pay us for our lunch. Okay, they made us go work on our lunch hour. They didn't even let us take a lunch hour that we were entitled to. Oh, well, we're busy. You got to work. This is the type of companies we work for. We're basically getting into the 996. If anybody knows what 996 is, that's China's logo, okay? Americans, we do work harder than anybody in the world. We're talking paid workers, okay? There is slave labor, so we can't include that. But the 996 is China's new motto. You're going to work from 9 to 9, 6 days a week. And we're almost there already as Americans. We all see it. You go for a job now, you know, an average job. They want you to work 6 days a week. Saturdays is like, you're not allowed to be off. So we're at that 996 almost. I mean, because face it, if you have to be work at 9, you're leaving your house at around 8, 7:30, you got to beat traffic, get to work on time. Then by the time you get out of work 5, 6 o'clock and get home at 7, 8 o'clock, we're almost there. Maybe we're doing 11 hours instead of 12. And you come home and you're exhausted, you can't do anything. So now another big problem we have is we're not energy independent. They made sure they did that when they got this new regime in. Okay. So now we say, okay, well, our gas prices are going to go up a little bit. So what? No, it's not only your gas prices are going to go up. Your food's going to go up because it's getting transported, okay, by trucks. No doubt. We all know that. We can figure that out. But what about fertilizer for the farms? Do you guys know that fertilizer is made with petroleum? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do. Your food is going to go up because of the fertilizer and because of the transport. Right now, I went to the supermarket. there's no doubt in my mind food is up about 30 to 40%. Okay? Nothing is cheap anymore. A bag of rice costs a lot of money. So they're doing this. They're draining us. They know exactly. And when I say they, it's the global elites. They know what they're doing. Okay? Now, we are definitely heading into a collapse like in the 1930s. People may think, no, we took precautions. We're almost there. We are almost there. When the stock market crashes, America will fall. It's going to fall. There's no doubt. We're there. Okay? Now, here's the biggest problem. Over the last 40 years, we've basically been wage stagnant. And I'll explain to you what I kind of mean. So 150 years ago, when people started coming to America, even during the colonies and stuff, they had to pay people good money and give them increases every year because they would leave if you didn't pay them well. They just leave. They either go inland and get, land and start farming, or they go back to England or go back to Spain, wherever they came from. So for 150 years, America's wages were at an increase compared to the cost of living, nonstop. This didn't stop up until it kind of stopped around, I would say, in the 70s. But that's why you remember here, America, it's a dream. It's the streets are paved with gold. The reason why they were paved with gold, because the demand was bigger than the supply. It always was up until in the 70s, okay? They needed workers. When I was younger, you could walk in a place, and basically, if you didn't feel they were paying you right, you would walk out. Today, a lot of the young kids, they go for job interviews. They don't even ask, how much are you paying me? Okay, they sit the interview, and they're like, yeah, and they're giving, and they're smiling, they're trying to look, and the guy hires them, and they walk out of the room and say, okay, when do I start? But they don't even ask, how much are you paying me? Okay, because a lot of times they advertise lies. They tell you they're going to pay you up to this. You can make up to 100,000 or whatever. Yeah, that's the one guy in the whole, company that makes like 100 grand. Like, we're talking like sales and things. And everybody else is making 30, 40,000. But we don't even ask. When I was younger, we would ask, and if we didn't like it, we walked out. So the supply was bigger than demand. So what did they do? These globalists, geniuses, okay? Things were getting great in America all the way up to the 70s. So what they did is basically they said, hey, we're paying these guys too much money, and every year it's killing us with these unions and medical benefits and things like that. So how did they stop this? Because in the 70s, salaries started getting adjusted. Around 1978, there was no extra money, okay? So the average man, his wife was staying home, okay? Nuclear family was great. She was taking care of the kids. He would come home. He had dinner. The house was clean. He was happy. She was happy. That one income. So what did they do? Cost of living started getting too much. And us as Americans, we always want more, right? So the man started working 2 jobs, okay? Some, and then some didn't. So here's the genius move. They said, what are we going to do? We got to get the workforce bigger, the supply bigger than the demand. We have to have that, because then we can keep the wages. So women came into the picture, okay? So now women went into the workforce, okay, because they wanted more. They wanted the American dream, just like their husbands. So she said, hey, honey, I'm going to go get a job now. We'll have 2 incomes, and now we can get ahead again. Now we're going to have money, we could save, and we can live that American dream. The house, the white picket fence. And here's the problem. It really didn't work, because we used to have 1 car per family. Now the woman went to work. We needed 2 cars. Now she needed another wardrobe, right, for work. She can't go to work in her, clothes that she wore in the house. She had to buy clothes. Now she would come home. She was exhausted. Women are exhausted today because they're still doing their chores as a wife. They come home, they're cleaning, they're cooking, and they're going to work. They're exhausted. Okay, so what happens when a woman's exhausted? She gets stressed out, right? Highest percentage of antidepressant drugs in this country are taken by women, not men, because the women are overloaded in this country right now. Overloaded. It's hard to be a mother, wife, and go to work 40, 50 hours a week. Then on top of that, women had to get prepared meals. They couldn't even cook. They were exhausted to get home. So that costs more money. So you had to get another, right? You had to get another car. You need more insurance. So when you added up all that together, the extra money that the woman was pulling in wasn't really that much more. It ended up almost breaking even at one point. So now the wife's working. The husband's working. Children, they're not even being raised by their mom. They're disrespectful. Divorce is going through the roof, 50, 60%. This is all the devil's plan, okay? The government, basically, to me, they are the devil, okay? Women are taking tons of antidepressants, and guess what happens? So now the corporations have the wage at stagnant right now. Wages for the last 40 years are stagnant. I mean, there's a little increase, but compared to the cost of living, it doesn't even cover it. Cost of living is going way more up than the wages. And they love this. The corporations look at this. Their bottom line is, whoa, we're making all this money. And guess what happens? All these CEOs of these companies declare themselves geniuses. Whoa, I'm a genius. I did all this. Look at the bottom line. We're making so much more money. I deserve a raise. I'm a genius CEO. So we created another class. We have like 200,000 of these elite CEOs of all these different companies, all getting themselves crazy money, and we get less money. Where do you think they're getting their money from? Our salaries, okay? And were they really geniuses because we're not getting increases in wages? The supply is way bigger than the demand, so you don't got to worry about losing employees. Plus, you're getting automated with all kinds of technology. You're cutting employees down. The bottom line is always going to be bigger. They're not geniuses, okay? They're just bullshit artists, these CEOs, 90% of them. I remember Lee Iacocca for 20 years didn't do shit. Now, there's a guy from Chrysler, and he declared himself a genius. Like, I'm a genius, Now, here's what happens next. The Republicans jump on the bandwagon with family morals, and we want to get it back to where it used to be, where the wife stays home, which will never happen, okay? And guess who's funding the Republicans? The corporations that are stabbing you in the back. They're playing good guy, bad guy, And this is what happens. So now we're at this point. Husband's working, wife is working, right? We're in the 70s. 1978, guess what the new invention is? Credit. Now Americans go, whoo-hoo! They start borrowing. We get all these different credit cards, Visa. Years ago when I was a young man, there really weren't credit cards. There was like an American Express card that was for businessmen. There wasn't no MasterCard, Visa. My father didn't have no MasterCard, Visa, when he was a young man. All of a sudden now we could borrow. So now Americans couldn't live that American dream anymore. Working, wife and husband working, way more than 40 hours a week, still couldn't pay the bills or barely could pay the bills because of inflation wasn't comparing to their wages. We're steady line, boom, and our wages actually compared to cost of living are going down every year. Now, America in 1978, the credit cards come out. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, using credit cards, borrowing, because we still want to live that American dream. Okay? Now, we're borrowing and borrowing, right? So we're in the borrowing now. So now you look at like countries like Italy, France. Before this is all before the pandemic, because you can't now, it's totally different. You go to Italy and you will come back and you go, holy shit, those people live a great life. I mean, wow, they get home at 5 o'clock. They're eating 2-3 hour dinners with their family, drinking wine, going to the cafe afterwards. I mean, this is the life. But you know what they tell you in America? Well, they don't live as good as you. You live better. Look at your kid. Well, the government don't tell you, though, the people in Italy or France or whatever, they're only working 5 days a week, not 6. They have a statistic that the Europeans work 20% less than us. So what does that mean? They have more free time. Don't you want more free time? I want more free time. Instead, we go to work, we come home, we eat, we watch an hour of Netflix, and we're back in bed. This is a life. In Italy, they're coming home at 5 o'clock. They're sitting down with their family, eating for 2 hours, drinking wine. It's a feast every night, and then afterwards, whatever, going out to a cafe with their family. And then they're off Saturday and Sunday, okay? And in Italy, at 12 or 1 o'clock, I forgot what it is, they close the stores down for 2-3 hours. People at work, they go home and eat with their family again and then come back. This is what we don't have as Americans. So let's weigh this out. I want more free time, okay? I don't care if I have every stupid iPhone, this, that. I don't need all this shit, all right? I can have just a regular phone. I don't need an iPhone. We want all these little things, and how do we pay for it? By working ourselves to death. We don't even realize that this is what we're going through, all right? So now, America keeps borrowing money, right? We're borrowing through our butts. I mean, I had credit cards. I was banging them out, living rich, but eventually it catches up to you. Everything today, when they calculate everything, is about debt, not about wages. They know they're not paying us correctly, okay? I mean, it is crazy what these corporations are doing to us. And they got us, They keep the labor costs down, okay? And their bottom line is always good. Now, like I said, technology. I mean, this technology is taking tons of jobs from people. But here's what they did next. Because Americans always find a way to adapt somehow, right? So now these companies that make more money start going abroad with their companies. They start opening up factories in the Philippines. They make furniture there, a lot of furniture. I know from Bob's Furniture when I worked there. They're opening car plants in Mexico. Now they're taking jobs away from Americans. And this is over the last 40 years. And we're all looking at this like, no big. And unemployment's still going up, still going up, still going up. And this is how they keep getting their bottom line. The rich right now in this country, we are number one in the world of rich to the middle class deficit of, money. Number one, the rich have more money in this country than anywhere else in the world compared to the working man, okay? We're number one, okay? These guys keep getting richer and richer. Then what they do to keep the demand even higher, they even start bringing people from other countries here to work for us. My sister-in-law worked for an accounting firm. They brought people there from India. They told them, you're fired. You're going to get a severance package, whatever it was, 20, 30,000, whatever they were giving them. And you're going to train these people for 6 months to do your job, and they're replacing you. This is how psychotic it is, okay? And if you don't do it, you're not going to get your severance package. See, they always blackmail you, okay? So she had to train people from India to do her job who were going to work for half the price, okay, that she worked for. And if she didn't do it, she didn't get a severance. But, she told me most of us didn't train them correctly because, they're pissed off, So this is where we're at. I talked about the executives. Let me get to this. Okay. So how do we get this way? Now, when Bush was president, they seen this system crumbling because here's how it works. Back in the days, the corporations used to take the brunt, okay, in taxes that the American working class didn't like. The corporations paid more than 50% of the brunt of the government with taxes, okay? And the working man did better because they were taking the brunt, supporting the government. It changed, okay? And it started becoming the working man was supporting the government, and the corporations started getting loophole after loophole after loophole with the taxes. I mean, there was a point, I think it was GE paid 2% tax one year, like in 2008 or 2000. Like, this is the advantage these guys were doing. They were getting all these loopholes. They're bribing all these different, lobbyists to change laws for them. And this is a problem. So now Bush realizes when he's president that this shit's going down. We're going to go under. We're going to be bankrupt. So what he does, I mean, in a couple of days, the whole government gets together. All of a sudden, they agree on everything. When their push comes to shove, they're all in together. Republicans, Democrats. They push all these bailouts to bail out these banks, all kinds of shit. They start pushing money. They pump like $1 trillion into the economy to keep it afloat. They're printing this money. They don't even have it. Okay? And this started with Bush. Then when Obama came in, I don't know if you guys remember, it was all the banks and all of them. They were giving all these jumbo mortgages out to people. And everything went, boop, bursted, right? So what do? They give all these corporations, they guarantee all their debt. They give them billions and billions of dollars to bail them out of our tax money. Okay? They don't bail them out with their money. They bail them out with our money. Now they give all these corporations all this money and guarantee all their debt. Now they're like partners with these banks. So now they're running things. Insurance company, AIG, biggest insurance company in the whole country. They bailed them out for like $200 billion because they couldn't pay all these people that were like not paying their mortgages, foreclosures. They couldn't pay it off. Too many people were going broke. And whose money did they bail them out with? The people's money. This is what's going down, right? So now the government guarantees all their debts. And where did the government get this money? Where'd they get this money? There's only 3 ways you're going to get this money. You're going to get this money from taxing the people. They print the money, which would be great because they've been doing that all along, but they couldn't print all of it. Back then, the media still was a little more honest than they are now. They would go after the government a little bit. So they knew they couldn't print all the money. So what did the government start doing? Borrowing money. They start borrowing money. Borrowing from China, borrowing from Japan. I think now China's number 1, but I think Japan was number 1. They are big. Now, basically, we are the biggest debtor. We owe the most money to other countries. And guess who the largest lenders are? China. Could you imagine? Communist country, China, is the biggest lender. And the capitalist country, America, is the biggest debtor. Does that make even sense? How does capitalism work if that's the fact? Well, the problem is, like I said before, capitalism does work when the corporations take the burden on their back and pay more taxes and the people pay less. The machine flows great, but they took that away. So it really ain't a capitalistic country because the corporations are paying maybe 25%. We're paying 75% in the brunt. I don't even think they're paying 25%. I think they've got this thing locked down to where they're paying basically nothing. We're paying everything. Now, the reason why they had to start doing this, borrowing money, because if the dollar falls, now you got to understand. So China, we owe them trillions, $1 trillion, $2 trillion. Japan, we owe a couple trillion. If we fall, they fall because the dollar's worth nothing now, right? And the dollar is the universal currency. So whenever we need money, guess what happens? They give us more. Japan, China. Trump did this with his hotels once. I remember that he borrowed money from Japan, like millions of dollars for his casinos. And they were going out of business. I remember this when I was a kid. So what did he do? And he bragged about it. And everybody loved it because it was China. He was getting money from Japan. Everybody's like, yeah, hell with them, right? He told Japan, if you don't lend me more money to save this hotel, you're going to lose all your money. So I go bankrupt. You get nothing. This is what's going on in America right now. We keep borrowing from the people. We owe so much money. They're so sunk in here. They got to keep lending us more money. But now it started to catch up. See, China's going to want to call in their notes. They're going broke. Japan, same thing. They need money now. So what are they going to do? Start saying, hey, you got to pay us the money you owe us. And where are we getting that money from? Guess how? Now we have no choice. We start printing money that it doesn't even exist. We keep borrowing, now we're printing. So this is how is the government going to get this money now? So guess what happens? They start coming after us, the people, taxes. They're ordering people more. They're hitting them with all kinds of penalties, fees. We're all getting banged over the head somehow. Raising taxes on gasoline, we're just getting taxed to death. And that's the way this is falling right now. And let me see now where I'm at. Basically, though, what I'm saying is we have to shift the burden. The burden has to be shifted to the corporations, not to the people. They're making all the money. Okay? Now, I'll give you another example, just to show you what I'm talking about. If you made over $100,000 a year, okay, you paid. If you made over $100,000 a year, okay, you paid 70% income tax. In the 50s, if you made over $100,000 a year, you paid 90%. But if you made $100,000 a year in the 50s, you were super rich. I mean, you were living large. A house was only like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So that was basically we after World War II, the people spoke. We want a balance, okay? When they got you brainwashed. Well, if you basically raise the richest taxes a lot, the corporations, it's going to actually hurt the economy. We're going to lose jobs. They're going to do cuts. They're going to do bullshit. It's all lies, okay? They did it in the 50s. Over 100,000, you pay 90% tax. Nobody complained because the average man wasn't making that kind of money. 95% of the country wasn't making over 100 grand. So who cares? You're rich. You're living large. You got to pay more. Then the 70s came. It was 70%. Do you know what it is now? How much they pay? It's locked in, 35%. The most you could pay. Why is that? So the rich get richer. Don't you understand? This is the game. The people take the brunt. We pay the brunt of everything in this country. The working man, the middle class, the poor, the rich keep getting richer and richer. And we could all sit here and we all know this, but we don't realize that this has been going on. And they've been doing it systematically, little by little by little. Now they got set their paws, dug in our government so much. They change laws. They do whatever the F they want. Then what they're doing now, because we're so broke, like Cuomo, we're broke, Cuomo in New York. We can't pay our bills. What do? Oh, well, let's fire 5,000 police officers. Let's fire a couple of thousand firemen. Let's fire a couple of thousand whatever, other city employees. So now we got unemployment again, right? We got all these cops firing, all these city bus drivers. They're cutting down. What does that mean? You get less. You're going to pay the taxes, but you're going to get less social services from the government, right? And this is another problem they're doing. I mean, if you look at what's going on here, it's crazy. But here's the bearer of bad news. I hate to bring this to people, but if you really watch and pay attention, all these corporations are leaving this country, going abroad, but here's the biggest problem. They don't even care about us anymore. They're advertising money in like China and other countries, okay? Because they know that is the future. That is the potential. Like the car market. China started moving up. The middle class started moving up. And they sell tons of cars there. So now by spending all that money in those countries, saying to America, you guys don't even matter anymore because these other countries are catching up to you and they're the future. You're not. Even the NBA is in China now starting to make their moves. You may see one day like an NBA move to another country, okay? So that is our biggest problem, our future. they are already betting on other countries. They're not betting on Americans anymore. Okay? You look in America, everything's fallen, bridges, railroads, everything. You go to an airport, they're old. You go to other countries, their airports are gorgeous. Their trains are beautiful. Everything in America is starting to get so old because they're not putting the money here anymore. The corporations are leaving and they're investing outside of America, okay? Because they don't believe we are the future anymore. We're not the consumers anymore. The other countries are going to start consuming more than us. Now, to give you a glitter of hope, if we could do what Oregon did 10 years ago, and you can look this all up, what they did is they basically said that we will not allow any of these laws to be passed without a vote. We will override our legislation. So they mobilized in Oregon and they created, and media will never tell you this. They don't want us to know any of this. So Oregon basically, I don't know if it still exists, but I know they passed this law that if the government passed a law that they didn't like, the people go and vote and they get rid of it. You know, you want to tax the people on something and we don't like it, we don't agree with it, they go vote and they override the legislature. But I think our biggest problem is 93% of the working men have no representation. I don't care what people say. You're full of shit. You have no clue what you're talking about. None. When you say unions don't work, they do work. That's how America got to where it got, because of the unions. Because we had leverage against these oligarchs. And you could see what they're doing now. Okay? We are wage stagnant, and our wages are going down, and inflation is going up. And this has been happening for the past 40 years. Okay? This is not supposed to happen. Believe me, we're at like 25% inflation. Now, why doesn't the government do something to help us? Like in 1933, Roosevelt said, if the private sector is not going to help the people, then the government, we must help the people. Because they had tremendous unemployment back then. In 1933, it was during the Depression. So you know what Roosevelt did? They created, from 1934 to 1941, like 9 million jobs for Americans. They had a job program. We don't have them creating all these jobs. They'll lie to us and tell them they're going to do all this stuff. How come they don't have a program to help people with their housing? You're going to lose your house. I thought this is the American dream. Shouldn't there be somewhere? Now they say they're going to make all these programs to help us, like with housing and stuff, but they never make them. So how do we get back? Well, Trump was on the right train. Trump made us oil independent. That was number one, man. That's how you get back to a power. Okay? You seen the first thing this new administration did when they got in, man, they crushed our oil independency. Of course, they want this new administration, in my opinion, does not love this country. Then the government right now has to create millions and millions of jobs. How do you do that? Now, Biden's starting to say he's going to do this shit. I don't know where all the money's going. Because they're still going to pay the people shit wages, right? You got to create infrastructure. You got to start building bridges, building airports, fixing roads. But that's how you create jobs as a government. And you know what you get in return? A great country, infrastructure. Okay? And I mean, look, we could do better with our public transportation systems. I'm not a go green guy and all that. I don't believe in that shit. But you know what? If we have better public transportation, like in Europe, they got these trains that travel real fast and it's more convenient. We would have less people driving cars to work because it would be better for them. And that would create definitely a better environment, more jobs, because we're going to build stuff. So now, this is where we are. We've printed trillions of dollars this year, and we are falling. Now, I'm going to invite people to come on if they want to talk about this. I'm going to put a thing in the link. All right. And you guys could come on if you want to talk about it. But I had to get this out there. I don't know if people have realized that this has been going on for the past 40 years. They've been nickel and diming us to death. And this is where we're at. You know, they made I forgot what it was, a movie or something. America is falling. Well, we already fell. It's game over. We have to dig our way out, but it's not going to be with these people. We need a different administration. Can we overcome that with our vote? Well, we're going to see. You know, all of a sudden, maybe the vote stops at 11 o'clock at night, and 6 cities get, you know, water break mains in their city and all kinds of shit. And we got Suan coming in.
Oh, yes.
What did you think about all?
You went over so many things. You went through generations. You went through so many things.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. It was I agreed with a lot, but I didn't agree with a lot. Other things. First of all, is the unions. The unions were the bread and butter. They were like the back of the working class. And what they did was they actually did their jobs maybe a little too well, because they changed labor laws. And so when labor laws were changed, they didn't really need
1 second.
the unions that much. So if you notice, the only people that really have unions are police. He left.
Well, let me ask you this then, Sue. I'm going to agree with the labor laws, but I'm not going to agree that we don't need unions. I'm going to tell you why.
Well, can I finish my point real quick?
Oh, I thought you finished. Go ahead.
No, you stepped away, so I was just like,
oh, that's probably what happened.
So right now we have police, fire, nurses, teachers union, and those are the main unions left now.
Right.
Only and that's due because our manufacturing went away. They went overseas. So I can understand that. And we do need unions, and that's especially now today after the lockdowns and stuff like that. I think that we need unions now more than ever.
But that's what I said.
Yeah, and so so I agree with that, but when you compared it to other countries what they're doing,
I'm actually scared to put Tommy on, because he's gonna come on and give us all his other things. But go ahead, I'm gonna put you on, Tom. If you start going crazy, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yo, what up?
You're a little scary to put on this show tonight.
That's Tommy.
Tommy can come in here and rip anybody a new asshole with economics, but I don't know if what he's saying is
true. I was thinking.
Did you hear my show?
Man, I've been like, I actually just got done making a video responding to Sargon of Akkad. So like, I'm trying to, you know what I mean? Like, you know, go hard at like some neoliberals. But like I had a thought this week. The Canadian truckers, what they should have did is they should have made that a workers' rights thing and formed a union instead of like.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Instead of like making it about a freedom thing.
They don't have them rights in Canada. Canada is not like, people think that other countries are like United States and they have a freedom to assemble, and they have a freedom of free speech, and they have a Second Amendment. They don't have any of that. Most of these countries don't have any of that.
Tommy,
that's what
think
people
about,
get it twisted.
You're right.
They don't have.
They do have the right to unionize in Canada, right? It's
I don't think so.
No. It's covered under like.
Tom, what's the biggest threat to oligarchs right now, and even back in the days? What was the biggest threat to them? Power, right? How do you get power away from them?
No. The biggest threat to oligarchs as a whole are the people. It always has been the people.
Right. And
it's not power.
We're mobilized, though. When we're mobilized in a union, we have a little more bargaining power. We don't have any now.
Well, it's immense. All right, so this is literally like what I was talking about in my video, like the neo-reactionist movement, right? That I'm like that I kind of support and I'm part of or whatever, right?
Right.
It's basically the premise that in order to fix anything, what you have to do is you have to put a strong man in charge, right?
Right.
You can't do this by yourselves. Like democratization does not work. Like democracies are fucking dumb. What you do is you give all your power to one individual to change everything, right? And basically you elect a king or a dictator and you go like, yo, look, just kill that shit, do what you have to do, and then like we'll square everything away afterwards as far as stuff's concerned, right? And so like here's the thing, by the way, it didn't stand here and kill unions, you know what I'm saying, by like getting rid of just our manufacturing. They brought in massive amounts of fucking immigrants that didn't speak English. And that's how they killed the fucking unions. Yes. They doubled the fucking labor force by number one, adding women to it. And then number two, by standing here, bringing in massive amounts of fucking immigrants. Like right now today, it's something like 30% of our population wasn't born here.
Right.
That's how you kill a fucking union.
Yes. You know, everything you said, I was talking about. You got to listen to the show from the beginning and give me what you think about it. You know, later on, just tell me. I think there's some
things me and you are going to agree upon 100%. Believe me, like because we come from the same neck of the woods.
Yeah,
I agree with that to a certain extent, but I think that what happened was the union was such a force that it forced individual states to make labor laws to kind of go against their gripes.
Well, who makes the laws, Sue Ann? Who makes the laws?
It's a state rights. It's state rights.
Okay,
each individual state has its state rights to make laws. There's federal laws, of course, but you have state rights, and they trump. And so what happens is, especially when it comes to labor laws, your state trumps it. And
but who makes them? Who makes them? Politicians, correct?
Yeah, politicians, and what they did was. But what happened? What happened to the union leaders? They became politicians.
Yes, they got corrupted.
Yeah, they became
politicians. There's an economist. There's an economist.
People did away with unions.
Right. So like there's an economist named Mark Blythe, right? He's out of Brown University. He was born in Scotland. He sounds like Shrek. He's one of the best people in the world to listen to. If anybody ever wants to have a chance, listen to some of his his lectures. I've covered a bunch of them on my channel. But basically he puts it this way. He said that like America has been in the past 100 and probably 40 years at this point now, been through 4 different economic regimes, right? We had like the original gold standard, the secondary where like they traded off. I went through this last time, right? But basically what happened was from 1929 till 1970, you had like the average American worker gained so much power, and we had the borders closed that literally like you could leave your worst person at your job could leave work on Thursday and have a better job by Friday lunch, right? Yeah, because like it was and it's really simple, like the Americans had entirely too much power and we were becoming dilapidated. That's how we got like all those garbage ass cars.
We had so many available jobs. Our job market was bumping when even in '99 when I was in my peak job search. I can work a job today and quit it and then work another job tomorrow and find another job every other week, because that's how booming the job market was. And I'm talking in '99.
Right. I mean, like I was there too. Like, you know, I mean, like I was in the market myself.
That's the problem.
Well, no, but here's the issue.
Are stagnant, you know.
Here's the issue, right?
Are going down.
Well, here's the problem. All right. So like when labor demands too much money, it has a problem with capital. Right. Capital, like, all right. So in order to have like investments, it's really simply like if you want to invest in a business to build a new factory or upgrade or whatever it is, you have to be like able to like make money on that investment. Like say like, you know, you're going to stand here and invest, you know, I mean, $1 million, you want to make at least 5 or 6%. But the bitch is if inflation and like, you know, I mean, like fucking basic wages are just going to eat that up. And you're like you end up having 6% inflation over that 5-year period, you have a 1% real loss. So capital, you know, I mean, which, you know, I mean, is a large like companies and businesses and whatever.
I wholeheartedly disagree with what you just said. I wholeheartedly disagree with.
So you got to bring the receipts and the numbers. You talk, but you don't bring the receipts. Not how is it how it is? Is this your opinion? Because you're not bringing any receipts. You're not bringing any receipts. I hate to be hard on you. You just keep talking about your own theories. You got to bring the numbers, the years, receipts. He's bringing the receipts. You're not. Yeah. You're just
like I'm telling
you. Say in your opinion, then. Say in your opinion.
All right. Look. Do you know what do you remember what stagflation was in the 70s? You ever heard of this?
No.
I did.
All right, so like yeah, Pops lived through stagflation. You remember this shit, right? It's really simple. It's when like you have like negative GDP growth and high inflation, right? So like it's like literally the economy's not growing, but you have massive amounts of inflation. So like if you invest 5%, if you invest, you know what I'm saying, into a company and you expect to get a 5% return, but you have 6% inflation over that 5-year period, you're going to lose 1% is the actual reality of it, right? That's how numbers work. Like that's just in general. So simple, like if you're not gonna be able to invest in and make any money, like everything's, you know what I mean, gonna stand here, you know what I mean, and kind of fall apart. You're not gonna have any investment into the market, and you're gonna end up having basically a depression happen. This is like kind of what happened back in the 1970s. Right. And this is what happened. This is why like they opened up the jobs to go overseas, and why they stood here and like, you know what I mean, like fucking brought in all these immigrants was to expand the labor pool. And then they let women work as well. They expanded the labor pool, brought more people into the system, dropped the wages, and then ship the jobs off overseas to do them for cheaper. And, you know, I mean, you ended up having a growth of inflation or a growth of the economy and the GDP. But the issue is that you decoupled like the GDP and production numbers from the actual wages. Like you can actually see it there's like a chart that they have where like literally you can see like the production, like labor share of production, like went right in the line up until 1975. Right. And then it splits apart and it never comes back together again. There's like a 30% difference now as to what it was, right? And like there's like things like the elephant graph from like 1980 to 2020, like the actual like real, you know, I mean, like share of growth of like the middle class in the West has been nothing. But the share of growth in places like China and Mexico and the rest of the world has been massive. And then the 1% got their cut because they're investors, and investors make money when you have slave labor, right? This is what happened. Now we went too far. Is the issue. Something did need to be done, but we went entirely too fucking far.
Yes, we did. And Tom, would you agree that right now, these people are globalists? They live around the world. These guys have houses in France and they don't care about
the international merchant class.
Right. So now the scariest thing right now to me, and people don't see this, is they're not investing their money in this country anymore. As far as like even advertising, they're going after China, all these other countries, because they know they're the future. We aren't. So what happens to us?
Well, I agree with that.
Why would they? There's no incentive for them to invest in our country.
Right, and that's the scariest.
Well, all right. I'm gonna tell you what, Pops, you're fully wrong on this, like 100%. Right now, at the moment, we're having a larger industrialization than during the Industrial Revolution.
I'm not talking about jobs.
Stagflation
I'm not talking about jobs. I'm talking about where are they putting their money? They're advertising
in Ohio. In Ohio and Texas and Alabama and North Carolina and South Carolina. Like right now, the largest foreign investment hub in the world is in Charlotte, North Carolina.
But they're not investing that money. I'm not saying they're not investing in production here, because we are going to become the China. See, it's easy. It's cheaper to produce stuff here now than actually go to China and ship it here. So what they're doing, though, they're investing their like advertising money. You know, they're trying to almost push the NBA into China. Like that's what I'm talking. I'm not.
Well, okay. All right, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about China. So, like, all right. So check this out. The latest census numbers out of China, all right, are very bad. They overcounted their population by 100 million. Right. So right now, as it stands, they will have half the population they have today in 2050.
I agree.
Things are very bad in China. Like people have no idea how bad it is. Right. So like literally like all right.
One kid now.
And here's the thing. The problem with advertising is that nobody's watching cable anymore. Millennials and like fucking Zoomers don't have cable subscriptions. They're on the internet. Right. So all the advertising is being spent on Google or being spent on, fucking, Amazon for Twitch or whatever it is. Right. Where individuals actually are. They're not. All right. So there is no future market right now is the issue. Anyway.
Right. That's
other than maybe like Africa. Right. Because like Africa still has a sustainable population. But like America, as far as things are concerned, like, dude, did you know right now they just invested $30 billion into a new chip manufacturing plant right outside of Columbus?
Yeah, because now they know like we can't even make cars because we can't get the chips. So America now, the companies in America woke up and said, "Hey, we better start making our chips here because
you know why? Because they shut down Silicon Valley in California.
they're made in Taiwan though. Most of the chips.
Well, here's the problem. Like it's about geography in Silicon Valley in California. They don't have any open land. Right? Like California, it's like mountains and then like a little bit of land and then ocean, right? So they have nowhere to grow.
California, they put their knee on their neck and choked them with their environmental laws and rules and all that shit. So they weren't able to manufacture there.
Well, like when you live in that type of environment, you're going to have nothing but international citizens living there, right? Like, you have to understand that, like, there's something like somebody just told me the stat. There are 40 counties in America right now where the average cost of a home is $1 million. Right? And a bunch of them are in California. But
the rule of thumb years ago, like when my dad worked, the rule of thumb was your rent was supposed to be 1 week's salary.
Yeah, it's quarter of your pay.
Right. That ain't now. Now it's 3 weeks salary. Like, people are paying $2,500 for a 3-bedroom apartment or house. They got 2 kids, right? So how do you make all that money? The wife's working, you're working, but how many weeks salary is that now? 2, 3 weeks? So that's the problem. We are actually in a wage decline compared to the cost of living for the last 40 years.
Yeah. Since 78. Since 1978.
78. There you go. That's the year I even said. You could go look at the channel. 78.
That's what I said about like labor's share of like production, right? Their share of wages versus production it decoupled in 78 and never came back.
Yeah, right? But then when you're wondering why there's kiosks at McDonald's and all these other places, is because Democrats are pushing that $15 an hour living wage. Listen, these are entry-level positions made for kids. They weren't meant to be a living wage. So
all right. So like here's the question, right? This is the ultimate question of economics right now. All right, we have had 0% interest rates for the most part since like 2001. Something like that, right? So money's been dumb cheap. So all these companies, what they did is they just bought up other companies, right? I mean, like, and they bought them on margin. So that means like they bought them on credit. And if that loan only costs you like 0.5% or 1% or whatever it is, as long as you made like 2 or 3% off of whatever profits that they were making, you were good, right? Now, this mentality leads you to the ideology of if you're only making a 2 or 3% profit margin off most of your business, how much are you actually like going to be making? And aren't you just going to end up operating off of throughput? That's the problem when it comes down to it. So like places like McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King, they operate on like a 2% profit margin, right? And if you operate on a 2% profit margin,
it's a lot larger than that.
No, it's a 2% profit margin. That's the issue,
really?
Right? And so, yeah, this is the problem. Right, like Walmart makes 4%, right? Like, they operate on throughput. That's how they make billions of dollars. They sell a ton of stuff, right? But if they raise their prices and people go elsewhere, they stop buying them, they're no longer profitable.
But Tom, right now,
the rule of thumb was like a 20% margin on profit.
Do you know now, though, Tommy, the car industry is at record-breaking profits. Because they're not marking down their cars anymore because the supply is low. And they're starting to realize now, the car market, all these corporations starting to realize we're going to get our price from now on because they need a car. They have no choice. And even when they start getting all these chips, they're going to still stick to that because now what you're saying is correct with Walmart, 4%. But now maybe Walmart is raising the prices, right, to get it at 6%. They're all at
no. Here's what they did. Here's what they did, Pops. Check this out. What they did is like, so everybody went to become more efficient, right, in order to make more money to raise that profit margin. Walmart closed down their night shift, right, so they can save money by not having those employees operating overnight, right, and making everybody shopping. And you're muted, right. Not having everybody standing here like shopping in the night.
Right, like with electric and everything else too.
With your profit margins things, because literally the general business rule of thumb is 20% profit margin or up to Actually, 30%.
It's actually about 30%.
And
Most little
Walmart
businesses.
is at 24.3%.
I don't know about
Have
Walmart.
have you ever actually like looked at their you know, I mean,
There's no way that we have
stock
24%. They'd be worth more than $1 trillion.
Like
If they were at 20%.
no business on the S&P 500 makes 20%. None of them.
Nobody. Amazon.
No.
Nobody.
Yo, they all operate on throughput.
Are you talking about gross margins or you're talking about operating profits?
I'm talking operational profits.
Yeah,
Right?
well, operational profits are going to be like at least around like 5%, 4%. That's operational profits. That's a
Not
whole
Walmart.
big difference
They're lucky.
between gross profits. Operational profits and gross profits are two separate things.
Tom, what she's talking about is, okay, so Walmart sells something for $10 and they make 30% on it. Yeah, but then they got to pay all their operational fees.
Yeah. You got to pay your labor. You got to, you got to pay labor. You got to pay lease. You got to pay water.
Like operational and gross profits are two separate things.
Yeah,
all
but
right.
operational profits is the bottom line. So.
This is what I'm saying, right? So like literally, like, yo, if you look at the profit margin on these companies, like, yo, none of them are making any fucking money on like actually what they're doing. Right. And actually, at this point, a lot of these companies are now just living off their stock price. Right. They're literally not even living off of like, you know, I mean, their actual fucking like business. They're living off what their stock is worth.
It's correct.
Why do you think that is? That's due to like all these different entities getting into their business and telling them how to deal with their employees, how to
that's not it's not
business.
That's just not it. Yo, look, I understand like regulations suck, and I'm with you 100%, right? They're terrible, but that's just not the problem. The problem is legitimately that they've been operating on a business model of standing here just making 4% or 3% or whatever it is. Like, for instance, when fucking Sears bought what was it? Sears bought Craftsman and then Kmart, right? They bought Kmart. They bought Kmart on margin, right? So literally like what they did was they stood here and they bought Kmart, but they used Kmart as the asset that they borrowed against to stand here and take out the loan, right? And when they did so, like what was left for the profit was like less than 1%. Right. And literally like, yo, so once Kmart stood here and said like, yo, look, we're not competing, you know, like we're not able to compete because like everything's all fucked up and everyone's broke. Right. And nobody's buying our fucking shit. Like, you know, they ended up just having to collapse both Sears and Kmart because they couldn't keep up with the fucking cost of the loan. Right. This is what all these companies are doing. So like, yo, they can't raise their prices. They can't. If they raise their prices, people stop buying and they can't motherfucking stand here and maintain their shit because they're operating on throughput. So literally, if they buy less stuff, they get a worse deal on the stuff, number one, to begin with. Number two, they literally fucking like you'll lose business. And if you lose business, then you can't make those fucking margins. That means your stock collapses. And that means like all the shit that you've been running off their fucking equities and all the, you know, I mean, the shares of your profits all goes away as well. Plus all the debt that you have and you've been carrying forever, you know what I mean, stands here and motherfucking comes due and you don't have the assets to be able to back it up and you end up in fucking bankruptcy, right? This is what's going on. So like they can't lower their prices. They can't stand here and motherfucking like, you know what I mean, like do anything about this. They're just in it. Like the whole system has to collapse as where it is right now.
Yes.
And by the way, that car thing, like, yo, it's the dealers marking the cars up. Right. It's not the factory. And the dealers are great. I'm great with the dealers doing it because that's local money. Right. That's local money.
I sold cars. Mm-hmm. And when you sold cars years ago, they used to get a certain percentage of the profit. But it got to the point where the dealerships weren't making very little bit of money. So they started giving their salesmen flat fees. Like you get $100 a car. You can't live on $100 a car if you're a car salesman. So now they're making more money. Like you said, the guy like me that works for a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the local dealership, the guy that owns 2 car dealerships. He's not a conglomerate, you know?
Yeah.
So that money stays home. That's good.
Yeah, right here. And here's the thing. So like what they're doing this on is for cars like the Bronco or like a big thing with this. Basically, if you want a Bronco out of the factory, it's $50,000, right? But you can't get it from the factory. You got to buy it from a dealer. you're not getting one in the dealer for less than 105.
And marking it above sticker. Yes, I used to do that.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you're supposed to operate, right? It's just like
supply and demand.
Yeah. Like when the toilet paper ran out, right? They couldn't raise prices. They didn't know how. Like their brain went, and they just ran out of toilet paper, right? Instead of raising the price up to like $20 a pack, you know what I mean? And motherfuckers would have stopped buying it, right? And they would have fucking stopped hoarding
their ass, taking a shower.
Yeah, so why do you guys think that our people should be in these corporations' pockets? Like, I don't feel this is a capitalist country. I don't feel that we should be in their pockets.
Here's a point I brought up. Tell me if I'm correct. Back in the old days, in the 50s, right after World War II,
okay,
the corporations were paying more of the brunt of taxes to the government, and the people were paying less. Now it's flipped. The people are paying the brunt, and the corporations are paying a bare minimum, like 25%.
So can I ask you a question? When you have a company making less than 3% profit, why do you think that they should humor a union?
All right. Well, like this is all right. So this is ultimately the problem, right? Like, so, okay. I'm fully behind like unionization, like 100%. I mean, I don't like, I hate the teachers union. I think that needs to go away. But like,
I agree with that 100%.
Like, the teachers union is dog shit. Like it literally holds fucking taxpayers hostage, and it's not fair. Right. But like, I'm fully with the idea of unionization. Like I'm a union guy. I was USW. I was a Teamster, right? I'm fucking, you know, I'm a union dude. But I'll be honest with you, like, you know, it's going to collapse everything. And I'm behind that. I'm good with it. You know what I mean? Like I'll be fine, but it's going to collapse everything, just so y'all know.
Yeah, but you have a company like Walmart that's a very successful company that's like putting in numbers in less than 4%. Then and people want them unionized. What benefit is that to them?
You know what they're gonna have? They're gonna have no benefit to them. That's why they don't want it, Sue. It is no benefit to Walmart. It's a benefit to the people.
The system can't handle it.
No, I don't think so. Because what they're gonna do is have robots and kiosks.
But the system,
no, they won't. They can't.
They can't handle it now.
They can't. There's no margin built in for a union, right? That's the problem in the end of the day, right? But here's the thing:
when there were unions, Walmart, they did build
the reason Walmart pays so low is because the government subsidizes their employees, right?
Yes, they do. 100% agreed. Yep.
Right. Like if there wasn't like food stamps and, you know what I'm saying, like cash assistance and all that shit for these motherfuckers, you know what I mean? Like
he's 100% correct. Yep.
Yes.
I know. Like I've done all the research on this shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm fucking very, very educated when it comes to these type of things. This is shit I cover all the time. Right.
That's why I was scared to put you on the show. I was like, if there was something I said, Tommy's gonna rip me a new ass if it was.
Nah, because I'm pro union and I'm pro worker, but on the same point, it's like I know it's gonna collapse everything, right?
Well, you have to be realistic.
The system has to collapse. It has to. We're there. That's why they're panicking. They can't keep pumping money in no more.
Yo, look, Texas is running out of workers.
I gotta move to Texas.
like Texas is running out of workers. Like they have so much fucking business that they're literally just running out of workers. What do you do at that point?
Yeah, well, Texas and Florida is dealing with the same shit.
Florida too.
Yep, Florida and Texas are dealing with the same shit. They're the most two free states out here. Listen, around here, there's no fucking jobs. People say, "Oh, the jobs are." Yeah, you want to work at Dunkin' Donuts for $15 an hour, you got a job. You want to work at McDonald's, you got a job. If you're a professional and you lost your job during the lockdown, you're fucking ass out right now.
You can't find jobs today paying $30, $40 an hour anymore.
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. I live in an area where every job pays $30 or $40 an hour.
I gotta move, Tommy. I'm coming up there. Get me an apartment.
Like I mean, because like we're
you for a little bit.
Yeah, we are the transport hub of the Northeast, right? So like literally like every fucking company has a warehouse, every trucking company has a fucking firm, has a lot here. Like, dude, like this is literally the trucking hub of the fucking Northeast US. Like
he's not dropping what state he's in. You know the
Yeah.
I'm in PA. I'm in Harrisburg, right? So like, well, I'm close to Harrisburg anyway.
Just
Like,
look
I'm
for an
about
apartment. Tom, look for an apartment for me. I'll be there.
right.
Like,
So like
next
literally
week.
like, so like 81,
Pops
83,
not far from
76,
you.
95, all these things go right through here. 78, all these fucking, all highways that go into Jersey and New York and DC and motherfucking Maryland and fucking Buffalo and all of it comes out of here. Right. So like literally
I'm
like we
about to get
sort
my
everything that
CDL.
comes in. Huh?
I said I'm about to get my CDL. Just hit the
Right. Well,
road.
here's the thing. Like, Amazon hires here for 32 an hour. They're
Really?
giving sign-on bonuses for like fucking warehouse workers of $5,000.
But I think you need. Do
5,000.
you need this to work for them?
No.
And
no?
and they
Good.
even give you like 70% of your paycheck early if you need it. And no, they give you extra money if you get the little mosquito bite.
Yep.
They give you extra money if you get the mosquito bite. You don't have to, but they'll give you extra money if you
Right.
do.
They can keep their extra
So I'm
money.
saying, like, yo, we're fucking like, yo, we're really good right now when it comes to jobs. Like, we're fucking smooth at the moment. Like, we ain't got to worry about shit.
Amazon's the one company that's been blowing up in every state
Well,
in the
here's the
country.
crazy thing.
Well, they closed down half the little guys.
Yo, we have 7 Amazon warehouses here.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what, Pops? Well played. Because what happened with the lockdown is that Amazon blew the fuck up.
Do you know what? Do you know what?
Well, not that. Yo, this has been like we've had 7 warehouses for 10 years now.
Do you know what Bezos said?
Oh, okay.
Bezos said,
well, you're a big state too. So
no, it's not that. Again, it's the fact that literally, like, yo, we are the shipping hub of the fucking Northeast. So, like, Amazon has a warehouse on all sides of every highway.
Yeah, I gotcha.
They go north, south, east, west. Like, there's one in Hagerstown, which is like 40 miles away. There's 2 in Carlisle, 1 in Hazleton, another one in Harrisburg, another one over in Pottsville, and then I'm trying to think of where the other there's another Amazon fucking around here somewhere, Middletown.
Hey Tom, you know what Bezos said? He said, "I'm not in the retail business. I'm in the shipping business."
Yeah, he knows it.
Yeah, because that's where he makes his money.
Didn't he quit? Didn't he like throw in his papers and he's gone?
Well, he's still involved, but he's just doing that project with the spaceship bullshit.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
He's having fun.
Yeah, well, he has money. He should be having fun.
But they still got to answer to him. What do you think? If things go bad, he's not going to get involved?
Well, he just got divorced and lost half his shit. So, like, you know.
And he's still the richest dude.
I don't think so. I think it's fucking Bill Gates.
I think it's Gates. Smoke and mirrors.
Gates is the guy.
Well, but Bezos did go up and when he got divorced, he had like $100 billion. Now he has like another.
Like, and here's the thing.
Gates got divorced too, and ended up being still no.
Well, here's the thing about like motherfucking this is the problem is like a lot of people don't understand is when you print money, all these individuals' money is tied up in like equities, right? Their currency is all tied up in like equities and bonds and shit. So when you print money, it just costs more dollars to buy those things. So like their value is going to go up through inflation, right? It's not like they're actually like, like gaining wealth. That's just not really how that operates. It's just their shit is just now worth more dollars because your dollar is more worthless.
Well, we have so many multi-billion-dollar companies in the U.S. Can you
are they multi-billion really? I mean,
well, if they pause a little bit and let their money sink in, then yeah, they may be. But
I mean, no. I mean, like, yo, do you know what the multiple is for the PE ratio for fucking Tesla?
For Tesla?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So the PE ratio is like.
Well, Tesla keeps on dumping money into space.
Listen. All right. So like a PE ratio is a price per earnings, right? So like it's how much is your stock worth versus how much money you earn, right?
Yeah.
Right now, Tesla is worth 580 times. What? You can't have a 580 PE ratio. Like the average PE ratio that you're looking for in a company is somewhere between like 5 and 30 top end 30. They're at like 500 and some change. Like, these companies are ridiculous. Tesla as a car company is literally bigger than Toyota.
Just as a car company, he does a lot other shit.
No. I'm saying, like, Tesla has more value in their company than fucking Toyota.
You're right.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense because I see maybe like 5 Teslas on the road in my life.
I've seen like 50 or 1,000 of them, but I live in the Northeast, so like, they're all over the place up here. But like I'm saying, like, listen, there's no reason they should have a 580 PE ratio.
Correct. The government, I think the government
Elon Musk fucks with the stock market too. This motherfucker will go on an interview and fucking crash a market here and crash a market there.
He buys Dogecoin. Everybody's buying Dogecoin. Like this guy.
I made so much money off. I made like fucking $10,000 off of that when he did that shit on SNL. And I was like, buy. I dropped like $8,000. I dropped, what was it, like fucking $2,000 to that motherfucker.
Yeah, that's why people are up his ass sideways, because he shouldn't be able to go on an interview and talk shit.
That's how he makes money.
Martha Stewart, did 2 years for that shit? Like,
seriously.
Promote something.
The problem is, if y'all ain't paying attention, right? If you're paying attention, you can make money. Do you know how many poor people he's made rich?
Oh yeah, I know.
If you pay attention, you can make money. Like right now, all of us in my neck of the woods, what we're doing is we're shorting the market, right? Because we know this year 100% is going down.
I'm not gonna lie, I made money off him. I didn't make a lot of money. I made like $1,200 off him, but I made money off him. That's $1,200 that I didn't have before.
Did you see what Putin did with the ammonium nitrate that he makes for like almost everybody? The fertilizer he's not going to export it anymore. For like I
hadn't heard that, but like it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like he's going to starve out like half the world.
So now we get most of our fertilizer. You need ammonium nitrate to make it, right? And Putin just said, I'm not going to export it until like May or June, which means what's going to happen to our food prices?
Yeah, well, he's doing it like beyond the peak of food growth.
Wow.
So, this is what thank you for coming. When you give fucking power to people and you don't spread it out evenly. This is what happens when you go to other countries and you depend on them to make your country work. Well, and this is why I like Trump. He fucking
there ain't nobody that in America, I think, that doesn't want Trump back in there after seeing what they're even the most liberal people don't want this administration.
No, just the pipeline alone, I want fucking Trump back.
He destroyed us because of that pipeline. They destroyed it.
Yeah, they did. And he got rid of our pipeline, but gave Russia theirs.
It was done intentionally. We know this already. They're on a mission to destroy this country even more.
But it's being done by our own fucking president, which is an insult to injury, which is disgusting.
It's not him though. He's just a puppet.
Well, he's a liberal
at the Vatican, so there
you go. You have to remember, like, Joe Biden is two things. One, I don't even know if he's a boomer. I think he's part of the silent generation, to be honest with you. I think he was born in like 42 or something.
I don't even give a shit when he was born. He's a fucking idiot now.
Uncle Gunny, America may be solving the fertilizer problem, but they're not. They're going to still use it as an excuse to raise our food prices.
But that's South America. That's not United States.
Yo, look, seriously, we are decoupling. Yeah, but
we're going to get it from South America. Go ahead, Tom.
We're decoupling from the world system, right? Like, I've been explaining this for years, and like people need to start listening, right? It's really simple. Free trade was a bribe, right? Like all of the ideology of free trade around the world, that was a bribe to motherfucking fight the Soviets, right? And like once the Soviet Union fell, we never readjusted our policy, and we elected a whole bunch of retards who literally didn't want anything to do, right, with like the regular system, or who really like didn't want to deal with it. So like now, we're just now like coming to terms with the fact of like, yo, why are we still doing all this shit? Like, why are we protecting the sea lanes when fucking the USSR doesn't exist anymore? And like now we're just like, you know what? We're gonna bring all this shit back. And it's gonna look different. It's all gonna be automated. Like we're gonna have a whole bunch of automation and shit. But like, there's gonna be jobs for years, right? And like, now's the best time to do it because, well, the rest of the world's demographics are at the level where literally they can't export. They have no workers to be able to pay their fucking social programs and shit. They can't pay for their fucking people's retirements. All their economies are going to shrink and fall to dog shit. And the U.S. is going to sit over here and go da, 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 and just watch the rest of the world fucking burn.
Hey Tom, can I interject for 1 second?
Go ahead.
I gotta go. It's my usually my bedtime for my daughter is 8:30 because she's on vacation. It's 9:30 now, so I had to go tuck and rain out, do all that stuff. But I like you, Tom. I like you. I know we bumped heads over that food slip shit, but yeah, I do like you, and I like what you're saying. And Pops, if you guys are still on, I'll jump back on after I tuck her in and stuff. But I gotta go do that.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
Have fun.
Have a good night, hon.
Enjoy your night. Yeah, I think you're muted.
People don't realize that we are collapsing now. I mean, America's collapsing now. I hope what you're saying, I think that is going to happen. We are going to bounce back. Like after World War II, we bounced back. But we're not in that stage right now. Right now, we're in the collapse stage. I think we are going to bounce back, though. Because Americans, in general, we like to win. We hate to lose.
Well, here's the thing. So, like, our government is dumb, right?
Yep.
As a whole. It's really dumb. And have you ever heard the term that science moves forward one dead scientist at a time?
No. Tell me that one. That's a good one.
All right. So, like, it's really simply put. Scientists are very, very, what's what I'm looking for here? Prideful, right, in their theories, right? And so, like, before a new scientific theory can be put forward, like, a scientist has to die, right? So that they can go, all right, now we can move forward since he's not arguing for his shit anymore, right?
Right.
And we had the same problem in government, right? So, like, all the people who, like, were there and voted for, like, these dumbass programs that came to be and, like, all the things in government that they've been holding up, you literally have to fire all these people basically out of a cannon into the fucking sun to get the goddamn shit to move forward.
You're right.
Like, right now, the Jones Act, all right? You ever heard of the Jones Act?
No, go ahead.
It's a shipping act, right? It's like every fucking boat on American waters has to be captained and manned and all the whole nine by nothing but American fucking workers, right? And American citizens. Well, this is a problem when we share borders with countries that aren't American citizens, right? Like Mexico or Cuba or Haiti or Canada. Yeah. So we have the world's greatest fucking water system that has ever existed. Like, we have more navigable waterways than the rest of the world combined, and it can cost us 1/10 of what it costs to truck something if we just move it over the water, right? Move it down the Mississippi River Basin, whatever, down into the fucking Delta, down to the Texas, right? Well, we refuse to do this because, like, we saw these fucking things like a Jones Act in the way. Right, because, like, heaven forbid, like, a fucking piece should, like, one of the workers comes from Canada or Mexico or Colombia or wherever, right? Because they're fucking stupid, and we can't change all this stuff because we still have people fighting for, like, the programs that, like, their fucking little office of whatever, government bureau.
Bullshit. He must have got disconnected, I think. Are you there? Oh, Tommy must have got disconnected. But here's a fun fact for everyone. Did you ever think a day would come when you look at Canada and you look at Mexico and you would say, I'd rather live in Mexico than Canada? Look how bad Canada is right now. Who the F would want to live in Canada right now? under all the shit they're going through. I don't know where Tommy went. He's basically, he drives a truck, so he could have been actually, you know, on his phone or something, but I'm sure he'll come back. So does anyone have any questions anyway while we're here? Can you guys hear me? Because you're saying I'm muted, Mims. Can anybody hear me? Let me know. Well, let's see if I can. I'll go on YouTube, see if I can hear myself. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I can hear myself. Yep. So I know I'm not. Anybody have any questions? Because we're going to end this show. I'd like to thank everyone for coming here tonight. Oh, here's Tommy. He's back. All right. I knew you got disconnected.
My internet's ridiculous. Like I live out in the mountains, so like it disappears sometimes.
I thought it was me. Maybe I was looking.
Yeah, me too. I was like, yo, why'd you freeze? And then like it went to like a little circle thing, and I was like, oh man, it's cool. You know what I mean? And then like I was like, oh no, never mind. It's fucking me.
So Tom, where were you going? I forgot what you were saying. You were saying
I was like, so like, you know, I mean, Jones Act thing. Basically, like, we can't get rid of any of these dumb fucking programs and laws until like everybody that like works for the government that's part of it goes away, because like they'll fight for their jobs, and the fucking federal workers union will fight for the jobs and all that type of shit. Right. And you know what I mean? Like it takes us literally like having to like silence people and throw them in Gitmo in order to get things to change inside of the government, because like it's seen as cruel when you just like disattach whole offices and like they stop existing and people stop getting paychecks and shit. You know what I mean?
And I think they realize this, you know, the people in power now, they realize they're on their way out, because Americans, once we mobilize and get together, they're done. But right now they're grasping on, they're holding on to power like they're throwing their Hail Mary passes. You know, they're doing everything they can to us to bring this country down. But when we will bounce back, Americans, we're tough. We ain't putting up with this shit.
Oh, well, like, again, like, I think that we need a much smaller government, right? As in a general thing. Like, you know me, I'm rooting for like us to become like a smaller parts of this shit.
I'm with you. I want the government just to protect. Basically, to me, the government should just, their real thing is just to protect us from wars against, you know, invaders, and leave us the fuck alone. Like, let us do our thing. You protect us so nobody can invade our country with our military, and leave us alone. Stop making your bullshit power grabs on everything.
Well, yeah. You know, I mean, we got so involved with the war after.
Yeah, you disconnected again. I think he did. Let's see. It ain't me. No, it's not me. But, yeah, you know, in Pennsylvania, Tom, you guys are making all that money, but you got shit internet, man. You better get... he lives in the mountains, though, too, so it is difficult. I lived in the mountains for a while with my son. But we have pretty good internet. But when it snowed or rained, sometimes the wires and stuff would break, and poof, you're out. You know, living off the grid is great, but there's a price to pay, you know. Water becomes an issue sometimes. Heating, I mean, is not really an issue. It's actually an advantage. You could go chop a tree down if you got a wood stove and keep your house warm. If they flip the switch in America with no electric, all the big cities are going to go into turmoil. But people that live up in the mountains, they're going to have heat. They're not going to worry. They'll just go chop a tree down, you know? So off the grid and on the grid is an advantage and disadvantage to everything. You know, when you're on the grid, you go to work and everything is provided for you. That's what they wanted. They wanted to make it easy for you to be a slave. And when you're off the grid, you're not their slave, but you are a slave to basically yourself. You know, you got to go chop trees down for wood. You got to grow your own food, but at least you're not their slave. Yeah, your internet, man. All that money you guys are making now, man.
I got on my mobile hotspot on my phone, so we should be all right now. That shit's stable as fuck. But like, yeah, like again, so like the mentality is like we're just too involved with the goddamn world, and like the U.S. military and the State Department, like we're literally just going to have to like eliminate the State Department, right, just all together, and then rebuild it from scratch, because like we should have a neutral stance towards the rest of the world, unless it's like maybe Mexico and Central America and Canada. Everybody else we should just in general not care about. What up, Uncle Guns?
What's going on, Uncle Guns?
going on, Pops?
Yeah, same old. Got any comments or anything you like to talk about? Go ahead.
I want to see if Tommy comes back first. He'll probably
He's here.
pop back in.
Tommy's
I'm here. I'm here right now.
Oh, okay. I got you.
He went on his
No,
hotspot.
just I wanted to say a comment of what a parallel of what I see is going on. You guys were talking about the fast food and the kiosks and all that stuff. The reason that the fast food joints went out of business because people don't want to deal with the service and they don't want to deal with the food. They don't want it's the cost of the food plus it makes people sick. People stopped eating that stuff, so they went out of a lot of them went out of business. You drive around where I'm at. I don't know about with you guys, but where I'm at, it's like Hardee's and Burger King and Taco Bell. They're all shutting down, and they're closing. They're closing a few McDonald's too. It's like every time.
Again, the moment you raise prices, they go bankrupt.
Yeah, people not eating that anymore.
But people are sick of eating that. They know that fast food's no good for them now.
And that's what I'm saying. To make a parallel is that, people are sick of. They're starting to see that with the corporations. They're like, I'm not doing this anymore. This costs too much, and this is bad for me. And they're starting to see the Walmart effect, where we've all heard that story. We've all seen those documentaries of. Super Walmart, Super Target comes to town and wipes out the whole town. It wipes out the whole town. It puts all the other businesses out of business.
That's weird. Because the opposite happens here.
But that's where you are.
We don't have that fucking problem.
Right. It's not. I'm not saying everywhere, but it does happen.
I don't think it does, right? I think the ones that do close them down are Home Depot and Lowe's do shut down hardware stores and shit, right? But every time a Walmart comes to town, the stores all do well. Walmart literally opened next door to grocery stores, and the grocery stores are still there, right? Because people, in general, the fucking local stores more than they do fucking Walmart.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm saying small town USA to where there used to be there was one or two mechanic shops, one or two clothing stores, one or two grocery stores, and it all shut. There's a couple of documentaries out there. It has happened.
I can tell you this: where my son lives, if they opened up even a small Walmart, it would put the 2 or 3 stores out of business in that little town. We'll put them right out. It does happen, not everywhere. Now, Walmart's overhead, though, I think it's starting to balance out a little better. I think you start seeing Walmarts are closing down and stuff. So maybe the little guy eventually will, come back. But right now, the little guy is out of business. Even with fast food.
Have y'all heard about the shipping container problem? Have y'all heard about the shipping container problem?
I have, yeah.
Big problem. But go ahead, go into it. I know about it, but go ahead.
Right, so in 2019, the cost of a shipping container to go from China to the United States was $2,500.
Yeah, $3,000,
right?
$2,500.
Yeah. Today it's $25,000.
Yes.
So
but that's good for us Americans. It's going to make jobs here.
Yep. Yeah.
People don't.
That coupled with the cost of all right, so Chinese labor in the past 10 years has gone up fucking 12,000%, 1,200%, something like that, 12 times. And it's now more expensive to motherfucking pay somebody in China than it is in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, the population is hurting hardcore.
And if we hit Mexico with some crazy taxes coming across, that'll even give us more jobs in America. We need to hit that next.
Nah, because all right, so Mexico. All right, really simply put, Texas now owns a good chunk of Mexico. Right. The Texas companies are buying parts of Mexico, right, as a whole. They're buying, so they can drill, and they can, fucking get oil and natural gas and resources, and fucking put in warehouses or whatever it is. It doesn't make any sense because literally all you're doing is taxing your own fucking goods. You know what I mean? And like, so as the Mexican labor price goes up, because again, they're hitting the same problem that we are, you know what I mean? Like their birth rate's at 1.8, right? They're going to end up, you know what I mean? Like the higher you raise their wages, the less of them come to fuck over and the less of them go from Central America to the US because they'll just stay in Mexico.
Right.
You know what I mean? It solves every fucking problem.
But we need the collapse of our government, basically, though, to solve these problems.
Yeah. Well, some of it's being worked out on its own, but like, you know, a lot of the social issues and the bullshit, you know what I mean? Like the government isn't just entirely too large and just too much bullshit on top of it. Like right now there's 22 million Americans who work for the fucking government. Right? That's just too many fucking people.
They got too many people in their pocket. They say like 40% of America works either for a city or a government, municipality, or some type. So if you got 40% of your workforce working for the country, that's a lot of people you got in your pocket to, you know, do what you want.
Here's the real bitch is retirements.
Oh, everybody I think is going to lose their pensions.
You know, that's the real problem at the end of the day.
I don't see how they're going to be able to pay Social Security soon. I don't see how they're going to be able to pay pension funds anymore. I mean, I think we're going to have a lot of issues coming. I think this year is going to be our toughest year.
Oh, this year is going to suck. That's why it is like, again, like if y'all are smart, short the market. Real shit. Like I've been doing, like I'm up in the past 2 weeks, I'm up 20% in the VIX.
Yeah, I made more back in the last 3 years in growth stock mutual funds just alone.
I bought oil, Tommy, and I'm doing well with it. Like I bought oil.
And shit.
Gas keeps going up, so you know I put a little bit of money.
I heard maybe it might hit 150 a barrel.
Well, I bought it when I bought a USO. It's called. I bought it at like $38, and it's up to 56 or 57 already. So I figured, you know what? If I'm going to pay $7 a gallon for gas, I want to make some money.
Yeah, just leave it
on
in
the
there.
on the other end. I offset it. I said, if gas goes down and my stock goes down, at least I'm paying cheaper at the pump.
I think you'll gain from that if you just leave it in there.
They said
Hi, Uncle, by the way.
They said we're going to pay $7.
Hello, Susan.
$6-7 a gallon by the end of the year.
Hey, Tom, I want to ask you a question. You're a truck driver, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
So what do you think about the protests being planned in Washington, D.C.?
It's so
dumb. How do you feel
dumb.
about that?
No, it's so dumb.
I think actually the oligarchs are organizing.
I think it's like a January 6th kind of setup.
Yeah, it's a setup. It's a red flag.
It's not even that. It's not even that. It's just dumb. Like there's like, all right. The problem is that like there's nothing to bitch about, right? Like it'd be different if like
like a secondary question. Are you a private operator or do you work for somebody?
I'm an independent contractor. Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like as in general thing, like I just think it's fucking dumb. Like as a whole, like if they were bitching about, you know, like I don't know, better pay, better shipping rate
to get the mosquito bite. Are you?
No.
No. Okay. So it's not really that big of an issue for you personally.
Yeah. Like nobody has like nobody in none of our truck drivers except maybe California has to get that, you know what I mean, as a whole.
Yeah, and I think it's a big setup, like a January 6th kind of thing. That's what I feel personally.
Like again, like I did
the National Guard, so
yeah, I mean it just seems stupid as a whole, right? Like there's like if there was something to complain about, like I would be fully behind it, but they're not really complaining about anything. They're just like copy. It's a boomer meme is what it is.
Yeah. They're kind of like trying to show support for Canada, I guess. And kind of like,
it's a boomer meme.
Know, like attention whoring.
Like, yeah. It's a bunch of boomers who are just late to the party.
I gotcha. I agree with that. I do.
You know, I mean, that's what
Uncle?
it is. Uncle Guns. I don't know, you might.
No, you choppy, man.
What do you think, Uncle, about it?
About what?
About the planned protests in Washington D.C. for the truckers.
I'm with Tommy. I don't think anything is going to come of it.
Mm.
You know,
I don't think we have any,
I don't think we gain anything.
It'll be
I
the
don't think we
usual
have
shit
any,
show. I think
Yes.
it won't be any different than any other news story. You'll have one side. You'll have one side saying it's good, and that and then people want what they want, and then the other side will be saying, oh, these people are demons, and and making a mockery of the whole thing.
I think the only thing would be a show of solidarity with what everybody's going through worldwide. But I think if you think of America first, I don't think that's like we're not being mandated to take the mosquito bite like that. I actually think
it's gonna work against us. I think they're gonna use it as an excuse, like to raise food prices. Say, oh, there were shortages with the truckers' strike.
Exactly. Agreed.
Tommy hit it better. We got to unionize, and like that protest in Canada, all the truckers should have unionized. And forget about that stupid protest. They should have got together as a union.
Yeah, and he's right. I didn't think Canada has them rights, but they do have a right to unionize. They do, and they probably should have probably taken that road.
I mean, what are they going to really accomplish in America? There's so many different roads and highways. You can't shut down America like with a convoy. Over in Canada,
you could. No, you could. All right, so like if you shut down 95 below fucking DC, right? You'd cut off basically most travel between motherfucking the East Coast, the Northeast Coast, and the South, right? But like in reality,
the state police are not gonna let you do that shit.
They'll bulldoze those trucks off the road. Biden, they're crazy. They don't care.
But it's just, what are you bitching about? You know, like it'd be cool if you had a fucking point. Like, what the fuck are we supporting?
To help Canada?
The only point that I can see is to show solidarity. That's it. With other countries.
But I think other countries got to pull themselves out of their own shit.
All these countries, like, if you hear them talk shit about Americans, they talk hella shit.
Yeah, you talk shit against us. Now you want us to save your ass, as usual.
Exactly.
Like France.
That's normal.
France and England. They talk shit, and then when we saved them in World War II, they still talk shit about us.
That's it. It's all about
those cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
What was that?
Those cheese-eating surrender monkeys, always fucking talking reckless.
Listen, when I go look at job posts, you know who they're hiring? Operators, truckers.
Oh, you can't get enough of truckers right now.
You can't get enough of truckers right now.
Let me give you a quick
CDL, you make money.
Let me give you a quick stat on fucking truck drivers right now, right? I think I looked a couple of years ago. I don't know what it is now. Hang on. Average age of trucker. The average age of a trucker in the U.S. is like 51. Right? They're all boomers, right? Like the boomers were heavy into the trucking industry, and as they're retiring, there's just nobody to replace them.
Yeah, so that's why they want single owner operators of truck, like everybody's hiring for them. Like that's the one position that and like wait staff and cook staff. That's what I see is like the main jobs that people are hiring for. Right now.
Oh wait, 57. The average median age of a private fleet driver is 57.
You know what? Not for nothing, but I would love to go cross country.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
It's a miserable life.
It's a miserable life.
Is it?
Miserable.
It is. Like I'm gonna tell you like this.
I have a like view of it as being like an RV life, like with doing RV.
It's not.
It's not even close.
No.
Like literally, like you end up like sitting in some fucking truck stop. You know what I mean? Like you'll go get a shower and like get something to eat just to be able to like fucking go somewhere and sit and eat a meal without like being inside of like your cab. Right. And like it's all fast food and garbage out of convenience stores, fucking 7 days a goddamn week. You're paying for fucking parking. And if you can find it, right? It's miserable traffic and bullshit and nonsense and cops and fucking
how about the
regulations.
weigh-in stations? The weigh-in stations are ridiculous.
Oh my God.
You wait on the
Everybody
line.
hates fucking weigh stations.
You
Oh, like
wait
it's
online.
our responsibility.
Well,
I
you gotta
swear
wait
to God, I
online
was
for
like,
2, 3
I'm about
fucking
to get my
hours.
CDL and go travel across country, and I think I'm gonna visit state parks and shit.
She watches too much television. You remember that show with Clint Eastwood? He used to drive a truck and he had the monkey, the orangutan,
Yeah.
and he had fun driving around. It ain't like that. Yeah, half the time you gotta do something to keep yourself up. Half of them are doing coke and
I mean, here's
taking pills,
the real
drinking
bitch. Like,
coffee.
you'll get stranded in some motherfucking city that you don't like. I ended up having to spend a night in like 12 Mile in Detroit, right? Like literally sleeping on the fucking street in my goddamn truck. Because like fucking this place wouldn't let you to fuck inside to motherfucking stay there and be safe that night. So you got to worry about somebody coming to rob you or kill you and shit. Or like you're in fucking Chicago, parked in a movie theater parking lot for 2 days, waiting for a fucking new appointment because like you got there 8 minutes fucking late and now they won't accept you. Or like you got to sit somewhere in somebody's you drive 8 hours to get somewhere and like they go to unload you and like you're sitting there for 4 hours and now your clock's up and you can't fucking go anywhere. You're stuck and you got to spend the night in some fucking place and there's no food. There's no fucking restrooms. There's no fucking showers. You got to take a shit. You got to do it in a bag. Like, yo, it is the most miserable fucking life. Like 100%. Being an over the road truck driver sucks. It is awful. That's why I'm
can only like travel such X amount of hours, right? Or
you
X
have
amount of
clocks.
miles or whatever.
You got clocks. You have clocks that you live by every day, right? So you got an 8-hour motherfucking like regular break clock, and then you got an 11-hour driving clock. You have a 14-hour motherfucking work day, and then you got a 70-hour work week.
Womp womp. That kind of
Yeah,
sucks.
it's miserable.
But
It's
the
miserable life.
pay should be good, right?
The average
do you
over
guys
the road
have
truck driver.
like when you actually get to go home finally, do you have like a month off or something?
No, you have 2 days off and you got back on the road.
Really?
Yeah.
Eh.
You can be out 4 weeks. They'll give you 3 days off and you got to get back on the road. And that's if you get home. If if you're stuck out in the West Coast somewhere, you'll be lucky to get home. Like they will literally try to keep you on that fucking road as long as possible. And the average over the road truck driver makes less than minimum wage.
I remember when I was like 16 years old, I worked at a gas station and I had a trucker go there and his fucking credit card wouldn't go through. I was on the phone with the company. I had to do so much shit just to get this guy I felt so bad for him. He was from the South. I felt so bad for him. And I was in Massachusetts. I felt so bad for him. So I was on the phone for like over an hour with these people just to get him enough money on his card to get fuel into his truck. I felt so bad for him.
We're going to need a renaissance in this country. Eventually, one day, things should go back to the way it used to be, but not yet.
I think we should grow our own, and we have our own animals, and we trade locally.
What you're saying though is a very hard way to live. It's not easy. It's not made for everyone.
It's not. It's a lot of hard work, but I'm so.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. So, like, the problem is like when you're doing it by yourself, it sucks. If you're in a community and, like, say, like you grow cucumbers, a next door neighbor grows corn, the next door neighbor grows fucking, tomatoes, the neighbor side that grows garlic, other guy grows fucking herbs and shit. It's not hard when you're growing one thing, right? And like, then you can have like somebody else has chickens, or all of y'all have chickens, and that they're not hard to keep.
We're trading for eggs, and we're doing all that shit.
But how about this too? How about this too, Tommy?
If
you look at the Amish, they have a big workforce because they got 5, 6, 7, 8 kids. So you make more. My son's at this mentality: is the more kids I have, the bigger my workforce is.
Yes.
And that's another thing. Yeah, all these farmers used to have like 10 kids because they're their workforce,
So,
here's the thing.
I love the Amish way of living. I just don't like their religious way of living. but I do
No,
love.
like you have to have that.
Yeah.
You cannot have a community like that without some type
know.
of religious
Yeah,
background.
you have to have that
I know.
hardcore belief system in place.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. I
You have
know
to keep
that.
everybody in line. Could you imagine having like a liberal motherfucking like farming community where like
I know.
bitches are over here trying to fuck everybody every day and shake their ass on TikTok?
It's true.
Like,
It's fucking true. You know what? Even still I'm looking at property in Maine because I want a homestead. But I'm like I want a homestead by myself. Like I'm the only one willing to put in the fucking work. That's just my little.
It's not
That's
easy.
my
It's
little
not
piece
easy
here.
and fun work. It's at least for the first 3 years. I'm partnered in with a few other people on a chunk of land, and we all have our own spot on that land, and we all
Oh,
have different
really?
things. And it's the first couple of years suck, but once you get rolling, it's pretty good.
But it's not for
Yeah, see,
everybody.
I have my little goofy ass garden. I have my little apple trees and raspberry bushes. I can't have chickens
here-
around here or anything like that. So I just
here's the real problem, right? The real problem is like, how do you afford property taxes
Right.
long term? That's the bitch. How do you make money to pay property taxes?
farm stands.
You sell
You sell to
the
the liberals.
surplus. You sell the surplus crops and the surplus animals and eggs. A lot of homesteaders, that's how they make a lot of their money, is farmers markets and eggs.
Yeah, farmers market. The liberals come in groves to the farmers market.
You know
Yeah, they
how
wanna
you get
eat
started with
organic.
chickens, Susie? You
Yeah.
you find somebody who's like has a Latino family that lives like on the outskirts of
I
town.
am a Latina.
You know what
I'm
I
Puerto
mean?
Rican.
All right. You know what I'm talking about. That would like live in a fucking trailer, or
Mhm.
the rough part of town where they got those motherfuckers got chickens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
You know
find
what? He's not lying because we can't technically we can't have chickens around here, but down the street there's a Portuguese family that has fucking chickens and they
hell
have
yeah,
rabbits.
and nobody bothers them. The cops don't bother them or
I
nothing,
know
right?
nobody bothers them.
Yo, when
So
I
that-
lived in the Dominican Republic, everybody had chickens. You would
Right.
you would see chickens walking across the street like all over the place.
Yeah.
And you see people chasing their chickens. Get back here, like they were fucking pets. It was crazy.
So you
I had 2 chickens.
pay them. You say, look, I want to get a couple of chicks, and you get a couple of chicks, and then you give them to them, and you say, and you buy like the high quality feed or whatever you want to feed them, and you say, hey, this is what I want you to feed my chickens, and and you work out a deal with them.
You think that'll work? See, and I'm like, there's
That's how I did it.
there's
I don't-
other
I-
neighboring towns that are allowed to have chickens. I happen to be in one of the towns that can't have chickens. We can't have chickens, but we can have rabbits.
It's all about experience and skills. Just with anything else, you got to have experience and skills. So what you do is you go down the farmers markets and you start talking to people and you start making friendships. Okay, and you say, hey, where's your farm? And they say, okay, well, it's 40 miles away, 30, 40 miles away from here. And you say, okay, that's not too bad. That's like a 25-minute drive. That's not too terrible. Hey, how about I come out once a month? I come out 2 days a month. I come out 1 week in a month, and I'll volunteer on your farm if you show me how to farm. And
I'm willing to do that, actually.
It's all, I'm telling you, it's all about skills. If God forbid, I don't think this is going to happen, but if Pops has heard me say this, if things go bad and and there's no power or water or electricity or anything, it's not going to be. A lot of people say, oh, it's bullets and beans and band-aids and the Bible and and coins and silver. No bullshit. It's gonna be
Yeah,
skills.
I
Skills are the most valuable resource.
and
Skills are the
Uncle,
absolute
I,
most valuable resource.
I'm gonna tell you, I have skills. I garden, I sew, I knit, I crochet. I have skills. I made it a point to teach myself all this stuff,
Right.
and I actually take interest in it. I actually love it. So,
Right. And they'll show you how to, plant the crops and rotation and keeping the bugs away. You got to learn how to farm, because
hmm
if you can farm really well, then you can do livestock and agriculture. You can raise chickens and and goats and cows, because that's
mm,
really all you need is enough food to feed the animals, and you could live on just the animals.
yeah,
Because I
no,
don't.
see, and that's my issue. I have zero experience of livestock. Zero. Not
Yeah.
chickens, not nothing. I have zero experience with livestock. I have all experience with fruit trees, fruit bushes, vegetables, but no experience with livestock.
Right. I don't promote I don't promote what do you call it? Yeah, if you can grow like fruit trees and stuff, as long as it can feed an animal, because fruit and vegetables go bad,
Yep.
Yeah,
but
they
as long
do, but I'm also into preserving and canning as well.
oh yeah, definitely. Definitely,
So,
but even still, only that stuff only lasts for so long.
I know, I
But
know.
if you know how to grow stuff like if you know how to grow stuff like sunflower seeds,
Yeah,
flax seeds,
like
right?
grains. Yeah,
If you know how to grow basic grains, and as long you plant them, you buy the seeds once, you
I
buy
know.
good high quality seeds, and then you plant them, and then you reap the seeds from that, and you can replant from
Yep.
those seeds.
I 100% agree with you. I'm just starting to get into greens, but and, I'm not even like I don't even have enough land for that shit at all. I don't have enough land. I have my like it's just like you try to like prepare for when the shit hits the fan, and then you come to a realization that you're not gonna like at the end of the day it's not gonna work, so you're gonna need a community, you're gonna
No,
need
yeah.
like partner up with people,
I
you're gonna
don't know.
need to
I
like
don't know if that works though for the whole population. Or let's be realistic
oh
though.
god no, not for the whole
I
population.
mean,
you
40,
you
50
think
percent
half
of the
the
people work for municipalities, so they're not going to go farm.
listen I would say 95% of the people I know would not even
No,
sustain themselves
I'll be honest.
in
I would
any of
rather
this.
go to work, okay, and have everything else provided for me in a normal, kind of environment,
Yeah, if
like
you
back in
can.
the like in
Yeah.
the 50s and 60s when things were like a little better. Now it's a little different. Now because we see what's going on, a lot of people are starting to do this, off the grid homesteading because
Oh yeah.
there may be a threat that you can't even get food in the supermarket.
Yeah, but then you have these people who's like, all right, they'll grow their tomatoes, they make their pasta sauce, but yet they have to buy store-bought pasta. Like, I want to learn how to grow the flour that makes the pasta.
No, it's too much. It's too much work.
It is too much work, and you're right. You're 100% right. And that's why you need somebody that has a wheat field. You need somebody like it takes it takes a community, I think.
Wheat and corn, like the grains that are currently grown, wheat and
Mm-hmm.
corn have a lot of disease, and you lose a lot of the crops.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the best thing you can grow um is like greens, kale, collards,
Okay.
turnip greens, stuff like that, and then seeds. You grow sunflower seeds, flax seeds. Those are the two big ones. that can feed your chickens. And then the kale and collard greens and all the other greens can supplement the cows and goats. And then you eat the cows and goats. You eat the cows and goats, you eat the eggs. Because you really don't need to eat seeds or vegetables. As long as you got food.
And that goes back to that what's that that paleo diet, and they're like
Paleo. You muted, Pops.
things like that. They eat vegetables and like meat, basically.
Oh, I was saying,
Yeah.
if you guys got any other questions, anybody got questions for the panel, we're gonna end in about 5 minutes. If not, because I gotta actually go cook and make dinner.
Go cook, Pops.
Yeah, but everybody, thanks for coming. Anybody got any questions before we let everybody go? Maybe I'll do a late show, or tomorrow I'll have another one.
No, I like rocking out with you, Uncle. I like you a lot.
Yeah, I
do this shit.
He talks a lot of common sense. Once in a while, me and him disagree, but in general, he's on point.
Oh, I like him.
When it comes to religion, we're on a different prospect. I don't get into religion too much when Uncle Gunny's here, but I don't even really anyway. I mean, I hate to argue about religion with people because everybody has their beliefs. And what happens is when you start getting into the religion part, there are people that come on your show and just blow up and go crazy. And they got
we already did that shit.
I know what I believe, and that's all I got to worry about. I'm not worried about people. You worry about, you go find your religion,
Pops and I have a great commonality. As much as we disagree on stuff, we both want to fight the same thing. We want to fight the devil.
We want to fight the evil.
Can I ask a question, Uncle?
Go ahead.
How old are you?
Mid-40s.
Mid-40s. All right.
And everyone else on the show, I want to thank you all for coming, supporting me. Hopefully we can start to make a change, and every little change matters, right? Maybe the show helps a few people, and if everybody had a show like this, it keep helping everybody, right? We got to get organized.
As always, thank you, Pops, for having me up.
No problem.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate you, Uncle, for the conversation. Yeah. All right, have a good night, guys.
You too. May the Almighty bless everyone, and be safe. Take care of your family, and Pops out. Boom.